So then, The Rings of Power Season 2 has finally, after 6 long weeks, come to a close. And you know what? For this one, I am not even going to hide it. I'm just going to tell you straight. It's terrible. I have tried to be as positive as possible with this show, with Season 2, trying to be as open-minded as I can, but this finale, it was horrendous. It really was a new low for Season 2 of The Rings of Power, and it's a shame, because there honestly was some half-decent stuff in this season. Improvements on Season 1 were clear. And yet, Amazon never failed to outdo themselves, especially when it comes to The Rings of Power. Because seriously, putting it lightly, Season 2 ended with a pathetic whimper. I don't even want to hold back on this one. I was so disappointed and pissed off by this episode. And to start with, there's definitely going to be some rage in here. The worst kept secret in the history of television. As we find out that, surprise, surprise, the stranger is Gandalf. Who knew?
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
I hate my life.
Couldn't have been me. Could not have been me. Oh, I hate this show so much. I just don't understand. Why? It makes no sense. 0 sense at all. The option was right bloody there to make it a blue wizard, to make the stranger a blue wizard. It would have been crazy. It would have been so cool. We've never seen a blue wizard on screen, and the opportunity was right there with the dark wizard also being there. He could have been the second blue wizard. It defies explanation. It's ridiculous. This was a chance to explore something we haven't explored before, but no, we have to make him Gandalf. Why? Well, to attract all the casual fans. Bad enough. I've actually had enough. It's ridiculous. What is wrong with you people? And then, to make it all better, Tom Bombadil is, turns out, Hagrid. I mean, we should have guessed it from the VA. I can't with this show, honestly. Any time where it actually gets good for more than 5 minutes, the writers, of course they do, they find a way to just completely mess it all up again. It is ridiculous. I'm not even reading off a script for this one. It's just pure anger. It is absolutely ridiculous what Rings of Power have done. And it was boring, I'll say that. So let's get away from the rage a bit and actually talk about the episode. And we'll start with The Stranger. This storyline has gone absolutely nowhere with the hobbits, with the stranger, with the dark wizard. Like I said, if they had made him a blue wizard, it could have led to some good things. It could have finished season 2 on a high, and we could have actually been looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with the stranger in season 3. But the way it's ended is, where is the excitement going to be? No one cares about the hobbit plotline. Just no one. It was boring, it detracted from the main story, and this was the first chance to actually do anything interesting with it. But no. No. Can't have that. Cannot have that. So pissed off right now. Back to it then. In general, though, the episode 8 was terrible. Moving away from the stranger, which I mean, I might come back to it at some point just to be more angry. But moving away for a second, it is such a boring episode. This is basically where all our storylines come together. They don't all merge together in that kind of satisfying way that you get usually, because this is season 2. This is almost the bridge between the first season, getting to know the characters, and to season 3, 4, and 5, which the Rings of Power is probably going to have. This is sort of the bridge to that, where we're sort of building up to it. So it was more of a quiet season. But even then, this episode... Let's first talk about the more negatives, then we'll see if we can get some positives, even though there really aren't many. Firstly, Isildur. This guy came back. Came back after 2 episodes with her... what the hell is her name? I actually don't know. Anyways, yeah, they're together now. That was mortifying. And overall, that storyline was so boring. The only character who actually made it interesting was Kevin. Kevin, the asshole. I know. So done with this episode, honestly. Ridiculous! But yeah, let's actually get back to it for a second and try to get on track. So firstly, yeah, we have Isildur, Theo, and Kevin. They're all together. It's boring. It's always boring. There's really nothing interesting going on. Then we have the main plotline, which is Eregion. And in Eregion, you've got Sauron, you've got Celebrimbor, you've got Galadriel, you've got Elrond, and you've got Adar. You've got all these things going on. And there were a couple of interesting moments. One which I really did like, and that was the death of Celebrimbor. This was really, really well done. Because we know from the lore originally that the death of Celebrimbor, it was gruesome. It was bloody. It was horrible. It was not a nice way to go out. In fact, Sauron actually used Celebrimbor's body as a banner, I believe it was. That it was gruesome. If you actually look it up, then you get some of the art for it. It really is. I mean, you could say it's cool, but it is definitely, it's horrible. And of course, Rings of Power weren't going to go that far, but they did get pretty close. Sauron taunting Celebrimbor almost in his final moments. I really did like that because, of course, the way that their relationship worked is they almost became friends. They were, of course, partners in their craft in crafting the rings, and it fell away, really, didn't it, at the end? But there was a sense of belonging there with Sauron, almost like he was friends with Celebrimbor and he belonged in that workshop. I'm not sure how I feel about that with Sauron's character because he actually shed a tear after Celebrimbor's death. Is it right? Should it have happened? I don't know. But then again, who cares with the Rings of Power anymore? Yeah, but I really did like their relationship throughout the show, how it evolved and what it came down to. And the way Celebrimbor died was interesting and it was quite well done. Not something that I can say a lot in this episode. The orcs are, as usual, absolutely terrible. And this is I want to talk about a problem now, which was a huge issue for me in season 1. But I haven't actually, I don't think I mentioned it in any of the videos so far that I made on season 2. Is that it just feels so small, the Rings of Power universe. This is, of course, a problem that lots of people have talked about, but it felt so relevant, especially in this last episode, where you've got basically 30 orcs attacking like 20 elves in a region. Then you've got a few men in the Southlands with Kevin, Theo, and Isildur there. And you've got one Sauron, and it feels like such a small world. This is an issue that's been mentioned before, but of course you've got the time travel issue, where anyone can basically just go from one place to another in a matter of, minutes, because that's how Rings of Power works. They don't really take into sense the actual scale of anything. For example, in Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship, when they're on their journey, they talk about Gandalf as an orbiter, where he says that they'll be traveling for more than 30 days, more than months, right, to be able to get to their destination. Because, of course, the Rings of Power is very different to Lord of the Rings, we know that, but the Lord of the Rings, it does handle it very, very well, where it shows you the vast scope of this world of Middle Earth, of how big this place is, and you really do get a sense of that. You've just got these 9 lone travelers in this huge, huge world which we get to explore. And Rings of Power, it doesn't give you that. And I don't really like comparing Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power. They're two very different things. We know that the Lord of the Rings will probably never be eclipsed ever in history. But it's very important to do it here, I think, because Rings of Power, when you're watching, it just doesn't give you that same feeling, that same essence that this is such an amazing, vast world. You really don't get that any sense of Tolkien's all coming through. It just feels ordinary. But then moving on, we go to Numenor. Again, nothing happens in Numenor. I enjoyed it for a couple of episodes in the middle with Kevin and the overturning of Numenor, and we do see more of that in this episode with Farazan slowly slipping. But it's just boring. There's nothing interesting going on at all in Numenor at the moment, or really anywhere. Elendil's the only character who's got any consistency or interest to me. And then we've got, like I said, the main one, which we'll discuss more now. We've got Galadriel, Elrond, and Adar. Adar gets killed by the orcs in a way that's almost reminiscent of the way that the orcs also killed Sauron all those years ago. And now Sauron is the one manipulating them to kill Adar. And I did kind of like that. Sauron comes back to Galadriel and they start their fight. And Sauron's, again, is buying into this thing that, like, I ship them. I ship Galadriel and Sauron because, of course, that's the way that things are supposed to be in Tolkien world. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's not how it works. Sauron and Galadriel were never a couple, and yet somehow Rings of Power seems intent on making them one. And, of course, it seems that Galadriel doesn't want this at all. She's already got Celeborn. And maybe Elrond if he keeps at it. I don't know how they're going to amend that one. She's got Celeborn, and she's really not interested in Sauron, also because he's like this big bad evil dude who killed her brother. But Sauron, he seems so intent on like being with her, of making her his queen. What is this? What are we doing here? It was so weird. Like, he's giving this soliloquy whilst he's fighting, if that's the word, with Galadriel, and he's like, "I would have made you my queen. I would have put a crown on your head and made sure everyone bowed down to you." Ha ha. What the hell? It makes zero sense. Why are we still doing this? Why are we still shipping Galadriel and Sauron? It pisses me off, really, it does. But overall, then, yes. Rings of Power Season 2, the finale, was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely horrible. And I keep on using the word absolutely. It really is. It just really annoyed me, this episode did. Because Rings of Power Season 2 it's had some highs. I do not want to deny that. It had some highs. It was disappointing. I don't think any of us can deny that. But overall, Season 2, it was so much better than Season 1. It's a shame how it ended. But I do hold hope for season 3. If they do continue this sort of upwards trajectory, we could be in for something special in season 3. Not holding out too much hope, but if there could be something, there could be a couple of little nuggets that will be interesting. But yeah, thanks for watching. That's really the end of it. Also, do look out. In a week, I will be putting every single Rings of Power review into one, with also a little segment at the end reviewing Rings of Power Season 2 as a whole, more in full. But yeah, thanks for watching. That's the end of this video. Make sure to do look out for that one and subscribe. We're a growing channel. It would be hugely helpful if you do subscribe. Just one simple click, so that we can continue. I can continue to make more videos on not just Rings of Power, but loads of other subjects that I do want to talk about: Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Harry Potter, everything that I do love. So yeah, subscribe. Make sure to like the video. Well, that's it for season 2 of Rings of Power. It was okay. The last episode was terrible. That's pretty much it from me. Darth Sauron, out.